Welcome back to the channel, guys. I just wanted to do a follow-up video from that video I did to escape your 9 to 5. And I mentioned at the end of that video I wanted to cover off the concept of the FIRE movement. And so what is the FIRE movement? FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. It's a lifestyle movement focused on achieving financial independence, the point where your investments generate enough passive income to cover your living expenses decades before what we would call traditional retirement. And this is achieved through a combination of high savings rates, frugal living, and strategic investing. And the concept is typically target savings rates 50% plus, annual expenses 25 times, gives you your FIRE goal. Maximize your savings, drastically cut expenses, or increase income to save 50 to 70% of your take-home pay. Invest aggressively, invest savings consistently, typically in low-cost broad market index funds potentially, and then reach the FIRE number, as they like to call it. Accumulate a nest egg to your FIRE number that is 25 times your annual expenses. And so the core principle, the 25 times rule, the center goal of FIRE is to save 25 times your annual spending. This number is based on the classic 4% rule, a guideline suggesting you can safely withdraw 4% of your invested nest egg each year, adjusted for inflation, with a very high probability of it lasting 30 plus years. Now, I would be cautious with this because the 4% rule being contested of late, and some people would argue that you could achieve a bit more. Some people say it's risky, both ends of the spectrum. Again, take a lot of this with a bit of pinch. Make sure you do a bit more digging into your own circumstances. But this is just the concept. I just want to explain the ultimate concept. And obviously, with these new income funds, you're able to generate a large amount of income. Obviously, you need to be careful of making sure about that NAV and maintaining your payments, etc., reinvesting. If you're in a very high yielder, then the chances are you will need to reinvest something back. But there are almost different types of this kind of core principle. There's lean FIRE, standard FIRE, fat FIRE, and the amounts that you need to save are varyingly different. But it coherently depends on the strategy and what you're trying to achieve. And the key lever is your savings rate, right? In the FIRE movement, your savings rate, the percentage of your income you save, is the most powerful tool that you have. A higher savings rate not only builds your nest egg faster, but it also trains you to live on less and reducing your ultimate FIRE number. And this is just, again, a visual representation of how much, if you were to save, how quickly you'd be able to enter FIRE. And for some people, they'll aggressively save 70% of their paycheck when retiring 10 years or less than 10 years. And some people will go a little bit more modest at 40, 50% and retire in 15, 20 years. But obviously, as I mentioned, there's different flavors of FIRE and not one size fits all. And FIRE is a spectrum, not a single point. Different flavors have emerged to suit different lifestyles, goals, risk tolerances, and income levels. So you've got the real extreme end, which is lean FIRE, which is retire early as possible on a minimalist budget, let's say under 40k a year. The strategy requires extreme frugality and a small nest egg, e.g. 1 million or less. And this is the path to prioritize time freedom above anything else. Now, I know obviously $1 million sounds like a lot as well, but because these guys are just aggressively saving so much and spending so little, that they're able to do that. So they're making a lot of lifestyle choices early on in life to be able to earn that freedom. And obviously, as they start to build up that nest egg, compounding will help a large portion of that journey as well. Fat FIRE is where you retire early with a generous fat lifestyle, typically 100k a year. It requires a very large nest egg, 2.5 to 5 million. This is typically pursued by higher income earners and focused on retiring to a life of abundance, not just from work. And then you've got coast FIRE, where you reach the point where your existing retirement savings will coast you, growth with compounding to a full nest egg by traditional retirement age without adding any more. So you save aggressively early on. After hitting your coast FIRE number, you only need to earn enough to cover your current expenses, allowing for almost a downshift to a less stressful part-time job. And then you've got Barista FIRE. And I didn't make up these names, by the way, guys. These are just the names that are out there. Leave a traditional full-time career, but keep a part-time job. And this is a form of FIRE, but where the part-time job like a barista covers a small spending gap, or more importantly provides access to subsidized healthcare or any other kind of expenses that you have. Obviously a lot of this is stemmed from the US, and obviously healthcare is private in the US. And then you've got Geo-arbitrage FIRE, and this is used as where you've got a geographic location to accelerate your retirement or live more richly on the same nest egg. So save money in a sort of high cost of living area with higher salaries, then move to a low cost of living area domestically or abroad where your money goes much further. And we see a lot of people advocating this on YouTube, where they'll go and live in the Philippines or Vietnam or Thailand. We've got one predominant YouTuber who's a Canadian who does a lot of this high cover call investing, Adriano, and he's moved to Panama. He was a Canadian who's now living out in Panama, and part of that is this Geo-arbitrage FIRE. Then you've got almost slow FIRE, and the aim of this is your FI is at a more traditional pace, e.g. 20, 30 years, by saving more moderate amounts, maybe 25, 35%. Now, you're prioritizing enjoying the journey and maintaining a comfortable sort of work-life balance while saving rather than sacrificing everything to retire in 10 years. For me, everybody's situation is personal and everyone's goals in life are different. Financial planning is just so deeply personal, and the concepts almost represent a framework, but not a guaranteed plan. The journey requires significant discipline, but for its followers, the rewards are ultimately ownership of their own time, which, as I said in my last video, is probably the most important asset out there, and it's probably the most underappreciated asset out there as well. So again, this was just a quick video. Hopefully you guys found it useful. Let me know in the comments whether any of this kind of approach is ones you're working towards, or you never heard of, or you want to follow or learn a little bit more about. Then just let me know in the comments. It'd be really intriguing to know where you guys are at in your journey in becoming financially free, which I know some of you, that is already at retirement age, and for some of you that's 20, 30 years out still, or a little bit less. Thanks for the 100% Club for getting to the end of this video. As always, treat this as education and not financial advice, and make sure you do your own research. All right, thanks a lot, guys. I will catch you on the next one.